Word up, everybody. Welcome to Word of the Day with Comedians. I'm your host, Dennis Maller, and joining us on the program today is comedian Joe Gorman. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
I love that you take care of both the video and audio medium by waving and also vocally saying hi to our audience. That is a man that takes efficient use of all mediums. Thank you, Joe.
Of course, man. Happy to help. You gotta play to everybody.
And that brings us now to what our word of the day is. And our word of the day is simulacrum. Simulacrum, which sounds like a name of a necromancer from Dungeons and Dragons, is actually a superficial likeness or representation of something. All right, maybe I nailed that D&D thing entirely too accurately then.
I don't know, man. My first thought was like that it was I thought it was like basically like a better name for like the dick cheese if you don't wash under your foreskin. That's what I immediately went to on that. Oh, you got a little simulacrum under there. Just be sure you full back and wash. Be careful. So is that Yiddish?
There's so many words in Yiddish that we don't realize just means dick, small dick, or even smaller dick. So, simulacrum could be a Yiddish word for that.
Yeah, they're always saying like, well, like that's not what real comedy is. And then they're like, oh, here's some traditional Yiddish comedy. And it's still dick jokes. It's just dick jokes that we didn't know were dick jokes at the time.
Didn't they find a graffiti on one of the walls of Pompeii that was just a dick joke? There was like an ancient Sumerian language dick joke written on a wall.
It was like a dick joke or like a fart joke, something like that. It was that. We always think like, oh, this beautiful culture, but then like one of the oldest written things is a dick joke, and then they found like this dildo that's older than any civilization that's ever existed. So before mankind was even like, we need to work together and form a society and evolve from just these primates, there was like we gotta feel good. That was like the first of it. Beyond the wheel, I think the dildo is the greatest invention that humanity made. It got us out of our caves to acquire the tools necessary to make this thing.
That shows you Mel Brooks nailed it with History of the World when all the monkeys are rising and then they just start beating off. And that now brings us to our fun fact, did you know of the day for the word of the day, which is simulacrum. And of course, our, as every day, word of the day fun fact is brought to you by Merriam-Webster, who is not a sponsor and refuses to answer my calls. In fact, they never refused. They just never started anyway. And our fun fact is, there is a similarity between simulacrum and simulate. Both words come from simulare, simulare, a Latin verb meaning to copy, represent, or feign. Simulacrum is the name for an image or representation, and simulate means to look, feel, or behave like something. So we have two words that both spawn from similar Latin meaning that almost mean the same, which means simulate is a simulate of simulacrum because it is a likeness almost like the same thing, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's a fancy way to say a big faker, a big liar. How to fake it till you make it has been around forever. That's really what it comes down to. This is just a fancy way of saying that. Just like pretend act with purpose, even if you don't know what you're doing, and then people think, oh, they know what they're doing. That's just that's the Webster's definition of it.
Or New Jerseyan peoples are simulacrums of New York people in disguise.
Yes, exactly. And they say they have better pizza, but it's absolutely not true. Come on, New Jersey. It might be all right, but it's no New York pizza. If you can't buy it for $1, it's not worth it. All right, the best pizzas in New York always cost $1. All the fancy ones with their health codes, don't go there,
Hey, if they got a letter on the wall telling you how good or bad they are, that's not the New York pizza place for you.
No, that's not where the working class go. All right, that's where all the fancy gentrifiers like to eat. But we're eating the real New York pizza. The one that was featured in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. That opening scene where everyone's eating pizza. One of the greatest scenes in cinema history. Everyone's always like, oh no, the scene in The Godfather is one of the greatest. And no way, man. The opening scene of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 perfectly captured pre 9/11 New York. We weren't worried about terrorism. Trump wasn't in the White House. People were just eating pizza. Even like the guy that got arrested by the NYPD was eating pizza too. That was a great scene.
Excellent. And that now brings us to the time of the day where we will start constructing a sentence using our word of the day in context. And of course, every good sentence has to have a subject. It has to be about a person because that's what makes it relatable, apparently. So for us, what is the name of a person who we can say may be a simulacrum? It doesn't have to be an actual person. It doesn't have to be a proper noun. It doesn't have to be somebody that we know or a famous person. Just what is a generic name that would represent somebody who could be referred to as a superficial likeness?
I guess it would probably be what's the term? A West Coast comedian? Oh yeah, we're taking some shots now. It's definitely again, like to circle back to the fake it till you make it. It's just like, it's like any comedian that says when somebody says, hey, can you do 15 minutes? And some comedian 6 months in says yes. And, if they're lucky, they got like a decent 5 minutes in front of a paying audience. But everyone has that time where they're like, I have at least 14 minutes and 30 seconds of crowd work. And they're a simulacrum of booking a bookable comedian that's been working several years, We all do that too. We've all done like, oh, I'm a simulacrum headliner right now when really I'm an in real life feature, but we can stretch a good 20-minute set to 45 minutes if I take in the multiple standing ovations I'll probably get when I bring up all these hot hitting topics.
I like that.
Yes.
I dubbed this guy Kyle. Kyle's got like spiky hair and frosted tips.
It starts talking to you like 5 minutes into seeing him at the club. He's asking you about like your social media handles. And it's always funny when you see, I love it when you see a great comedian with just very low numbers on social media. It's like, man, they are really focused on their act right now. And sometimes you'll see a comedian, I'm like, oh, that was an interesting choice. And then they have like 100,000 million Instagram. And I'm like, what the hell? And they got like these videos. And each video has like a 1,000 million views, and like it's never like an expertly. Isn't that a bummer? Like, cause like I bought like this fancy phone to take like fancy high definition 4K video of me on stage, and then this comic that has like 100 million billion followers. It's like this shaky fucking pixelated thing. It looks like the Bigfoot footage, but like they're crushing on stage, and they have like the captions. I don't know how to do captions. That sets me back. I have to ask a young person to put captions on my video because that's like, look, I'm just lucky I was able to transfer some DVD copies of my set digital, and I thought that was a huge accomplishment figuring that out. Like I'm not gonna be a simulacrum, and I'm gonna be honest. Like I am technologically impaired. Like I'm very lucky that I can even shoot a video of myself.
All right. So let's see if we're going to use this West Coast wannabe fake-ass comedian Kyle as our subject.
Yeah.
What can we have him doing? I feel like we've got enough stuff in here to highlight that he is a fake-ass faker. But let's see if we can start constructing a sentence using some of these items.
Any comedian that has an entourage of non-comedian friends going to open mics with them is like, what? How'd you pull this? Comedians always third on their bio if they have something. It's usually like influencer, streamer, comedian, actor, director, photographer. And then proud father of 3. Like kids are always like the last thing on the bio for so many comments. Like I'm just gonna tuck that away in there, And then if the career's not going well, they're like, I am a father first. Like that's like once they hit that certain like age where it's like, oh well, I can no longer star as the hilarious 20-something guy. It's like, look, my family's always taking top priority.
All right, everybody, we have officially picked our word of the day. We have defined it, and we have created a sentence using it in context. And to present all that for you is my guest, Joe Gorman.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me. The word of the day is simulacrum. Very powerful word. A simulacrum is a superficial likeness or representation of something. I think we all have a few images of what pops into our mind when you say that, but Dennis and I have made a delicious little definition for all of you out there on Radio TV Wonderland to better understand this. So the other comedian at the open mic dubbed Kyle, who's on tour from the West Coast, aka visiting his mom for her birthday, is bragging about his self-funded 5-month anniversary YouTube special, a simulacrum of a real working comedian.
Perfect. Excellent. Not only did we stick one to you, West Coast Kyle, but we also expanded our vocabulary by one more word today. I want to thank everybody for watching and for listening. And of course, if you use today's word of the day, simulacrum, in a sentence, whether it's in context or not, I want to hear all about it in the chat. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you to my guest, Joe, for joining us and helping us create this sentence. Joe, please tell everyone where they can find you.
Hey, everyone. I am on Instagram and Twitter at Joe W. Gorman. I have a weekly podcast called Locker Room Talk, which I host with 2 other New York comedians, Matt Marin and Bobby Sheehan. You can follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/justsomelockerroomtalk. And if you're in the New York area, I have a monthly show at the Tiny Cupboard that I co-host with my girlfriend, Kelly Taylor. It's called Seltzers and Bitters Comedy. It is every 4th Wednesday at the Tiny Cupboard at 7 p.m. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more information.
Excellent. And links to everything we just mentioned will be in the comments. Thank you for being here. And don't forget to word up. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Word of the Day with Comedians all the way to the end. I greatly appreciate it. And if you want to continue to keep expanding your vocabulary the funniest way possible, I recommend clicking this box right here to watch our latest episode. Of course, stay up to date with everything by subscribing or listening to Word of the Day with Comedians on the go by downloading it on iTunes or Spotify.